I've seen you draw like a Venn diagram, which is what does HR own? And, HR owns benefits and medical and retirement and that stuff. And what does IT own? Well, they own core infrastructure, da, 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 da. And then maybe there's business heads sort of in the mix there that own like little pieces of, oh, I want this application for my specialized need, or maybe I'm experimenting with a no-code platform and I'm creating this other little thing, which just adds to the complexity. And if you sort of map those against each other, there's this empty space in the middle where the employee comes into work in the morning, turns on their machine, and what they're presented with isn't actually designed by anyone in particular for the purposes that they're trying to use it for, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah. And one of the questions was, did HR used to own employee experience? And so as we are defining it, so I'll tell you sort of some of the aspects of this, right? It's the people, process, technology, and culture. Their PPT is a long-standing framework. I believe it's Diamond model. I think it was from the 60s. And I added C for culture. But if you just think people, process, tech, and culture, what pieces of that does HR own? You could say they've got the people aspect, maybe hiring, who they hire, job descriptions, onboarding, benefits, comp, DE&I efforts, training, all those things, highly important. And I'm not saying it's not important, but I didn't include it in this book because, as I said, it's really at that intersection, right, between customer and employee, not all things HR. But when you start talking about process, HR has no line of sight into process of how an employee does their job every day. So, there's a company in Canada I was working with, and their call center agents were spending 20 minutes doing returns. 20 minutes. You could say, does HR have any ability to make that 20 minutes 10, 5, 3? No. It was process problem. It was the next one, T, right? It was technology issues. And in a little bit of case, it was also culture. And I'll tell you why. They viewed the call center as a cost center. And so it was being managed by how many heads, how many calls, how much can we automate, all the things we were just talking about, versus saying, hold on, it is actually the tip of the spear for customer experience, that if we're just driving them through the maze of, a call tree, right, to try to get to a person. And by the time you get to a person, you're so frustrated that cultural perspective or view on what the role of a call center is, that's a culture issue. Mm-hmm. You could say HR probably has no line of sight in that. They're not going to go to the CFO and go, don't look at the call center like a cost center. They're going to be like, why are you in my office? Like, out. So anyway, I would say that this is where HR owns a piece. So one story I give in the book is, look, as I said, Salesforce is a great place to work pretty much globally. We've been around, for 24 years now, a little more than 24 years. We only stood up an employee experience team less than a year ago.
Wow.
Yet we're a great place to work. So it means that even mature organizations that are in hyper growth mode or are a great place to work always have room for improvement when it comes to employee. And so we are very focused on certain aspects of it. We did a lot of acquisitions and had a lot of hiring during the pandemic. We had a lot of people on board and not go through our normal onboarding process. So a lot of the employee experience work right now is focused on getting those people who are here, who didn't go through our standard onboarding process through that process, right? Because we just couldn't do it during the pandemic at scale. It just wasn't possible. So, well, at least it wasn't possible in the way our culture wants to onboard employees. So let me say that it would have been possible, but clearly it didn't work well because we needed to go back and make it better. So I would say that this is where everybody has an opportunity to put a new lens on when talking about this topic, even if you are a hyper-growth company, high performing, your customers are super happy, you're a great place to work. There's always room for improvement.